Hello, I'm Kerry James, and I'm pleased to bring before you the resolutions for the Conference Board of Pensions and Health Benefits. Before we cover the recommendations, I would like to give you a couple of updates from the Board of Pensions that is based on our work over the last year. Our agenda will first cover the initiatives that have been related to the COVID-19 pandemic. We have several updates related to the pension and health benefits for active and retired participants. And we also have a few benefit reminders before we will bring the recommendations before you for your vote. Let me first start with the COVID-19 initiatives. The Board of Pensions launched 2 financial relief initiatives in March to assist churches make the adjustment to the abrupt end of in-person worship. Few churches found themselves ready for the financial challenges that will result as the church buildings, preschools, and other activities were closed. The actions by the board provided our conference with a common understanding that we were all together in this pandemic. The board was grateful to be the servants in place who could offer this blessing to local churches based on the generations of servants who had come before them. The relief of nearly $3 million came from the board's undesignated reserves. These reserves existed from periodic and unfortunately rather infrequent WestPath rebates to BWC that recognized lower than expected claims and plan management costs when they occur. The reserves also help mitigate any WestPath rate increases so that they do not always need to be passed on to local churches. Overall, 368 churches received a 3-month pension and health flex waivers. An additional 252 churches received the Small Church Grant Initiative. Each of them received an equivalent estimated to be 22% of clergy plan compensation for 3 months. There were also several health flex initiatives that were launched to address COVID-19 concerns. Health Flex is covering the cost of COVID-19 testing at 100%. There is a no-cost nurse line available to help assess symptoms and direct participants to local providers if necessary. We are reminded that Health Flex offers up to 8 EAP visits of virtual EAP counseling at no cost to participants and covered dependents. At this time of personal and professional stress and uncertainty, this is an outstanding benefit that we need to remember. The CARES Act enabled the use of HRAs, HSAs, and FHAs for the use of over-the-counter medication. WestPath waived the service fees for anyone who used the MD line telemedicine through mid-June, as many doctors' offices have restrictions in place. WestPath also extended the Blueprint for Wellness and HQ deadlines to September 30th. The Board of Pensions is thankful for the number of benefits that can be extended to our clergy and laity at this important time. It is a blessing to see our connections at work during a difficult time. Our next section of the presentation will cover the updates related to the benefits that are extended to active and retired participants in the conference. Our first benefit update involves our Health Flex health benefits. We celebrate that 2020 is now our conference's 3rd full year using the Health Flex exchange for offering our active participants a choice to satisfy their individual health care needs. The selection of health care plans within BWC has shifted slightly over the years. On the right-hand column of this table, you will see that 75% of our participants are now selecting plans that involved a health reimbursement arrangement, an HRA, or a health savings account as HSA. 57% are selecting plans with an HRA and 14% are selecting plans with an HSA. This 71% level for both the HRA and HSA is an increase from 60% in 2019. We also report that a high level of our participants are selecting gold plans. The bottom row of this table shows that 90% of BWC participants are continuing to select gold plans that are rated to pay 80% of health costs. This slide shows the Health Flex rate structures for 2021. The board was informed by WestPath at the beginning of this year that our Health Flex rates will go up slightly in 2021. Our board continues to recognize the good control of medical costs offered by WestPath, but it appeared an increase in HealthFlex rates for BWC would be necessary next year. Then in early August, WestPath approved a refund of 1 month of HealthFlex premiums. This was the first refund in WestPath's history, and it was significant enough that the Board of Pensions rescinded the plans to raise HealthFlex rates in 2021. The refund also provided a funding source to continue the $300 incentive for the Blueprint for Wellness and Health Quotient through 2022. So the rate structure will stay the same in 2021. Local churches' rates will remain at $860 for the fourth straight year. There will also be no change in the participant contributions for the medical plans. However, participants will experience rate increases up to $5 per month in 2021 for vision coverage. We also want you to note that the selection of health benefits is scheduled for October 28th to November 12th. The Conference Board of Pensions also evaluated the rates paid by churches for clergy retirement security program. In our role as stewards for the conference, it is always a blessing when we can announce rates being decreased. Such is the case for the CRISP defined benefit, as the board has authorized a reduction of 1% to the rate that is direct billed to local churches in 2021. The defined benefit is currently billed to local churches at the rate of 12% of planned compensation, limited by the denominational average compensation, which currently stands at $78,542. The board is reducing the local church rate to 11% for the defined benefit billing. This will be implemented starting in 2021, and the average savings for a full-time appointment is estimated to be $785 per year. The board is also watching closely the WestPath petition that will be reviewed at the General Conference next year that proposes additional cost reduction in a new pension program. The details of these changes will be part of the board's work with the conference next year, leading up to and following the postponed General Conference. To help churches understand the impact of the 1% CRISP DB rate change, the following estimates are provided based on the size of the appointment. Full-time appointments are estimated to save $65 per month, or $785 annually. And churches with quarter-time appointments are estimated to have a savings of $16 per month, or $200 annually. The third and final benefit update that I bring to you today is regarding the retiree medical benefits that are coordinated for WestPath and their arrangement with VIA Benefits. The HRA provided to each retiree in 2021 will be increased by 4%. For a retiree with 30 years of service, this will increase their HRA to $3,513 per year for both the participant and their spouse. It continues to be a blessing for our conference to provide this benefit for our retirees and their spouses. As you know, this benefit is now fully funded, and the HRA that we provide today is equivalent to the level of support that we provided our retirees more than 20 years ago. We truly give thanks to multiple generations of conference members who have served on the Board of Pensions who sowed the seeds to provide this level of security today. We also continue to remind all active clergy that opting out of Social Security impacts your BWC benefits. Your eligibility for retiree medical benefits at retirement and disability benefits through the Comprehensive Protection Plan are dependent on clergy participation in Social Security and Medicare throughout their active service within the church. I will close out the benefit updates with a view of the strategic goal the board has been working on since 2015 and earlier to fulfill the retiree medical benefits. Starting in 2015, the pre-82 surplus was redirected to build up the retiree medical assets to the rate of $2 to $4 million per year. The chart on this slide shows the funded status for both pre-82 shown in gold and retiree medical benefits shown in green for the last 8 years. It shows the dramatic increase in the retiree medical funded status from 55% in 2012 to 2014, and then the impact of the redirected funds in 2015 to present. The green table on the right shows that the assets in the retiree medical fund increased from $19.7 million to more than $47 million during this time frame, while the liability stayed somewhat constant. What we find amazing from this analysis is what happened to the pre-82 funded status during this same period. High investment gains in the pre-82 fund have minimized the impact of these redirects on the pre-82 assets. The gold table on the right shows that the assets in the pre-82 in 2019 of $67.6 million is only slightly less than 2012 level of $68.9 million. We can safely conclude from this analysis that the investment gains from the pre-82 assets have fully funded BWC's strategic goal to fully fund the retiree medical benefit. I will now turn to items associated with our benefits. Our first reminder does not apply to every participant. If you have selected a plan from the HealthFlex Exchange that contains a health savings account, then you were issued this year a new health equity card that replaced your WageWorks card for making healthcare related payments. If you do not have an HSA, then you will not have received this card and you will continue to use your WageWorks card. Please ask the HR/benefit office if you need any help using either of these cards for making healthcare related payments. Our next reminder is for all clergy as we remind them to evaluate their contributions to UMPIP under the CRISP pension program. Anything up to a 1% contribution to UMPIP is matched with a 1-to-1 contribution in your UMPIP account. How many clergy in BWC take advantage of this benefit? The answer is 72%. This is an increase from 68% last year, so we are heading in the right direction. However, we continue to keep focused on the 96 active participants who do not make a 1% contribution to CRISP. These participants are missing out on the matching funds from the pension program that can be obtained by a 1% contribution to UMPIP. Our last reminder is about the 2020 HealthFlex incentives to encourage BWC participants to complete the Blueprint for Wellness screening and the Health Quotient health risk assessment. When you complete each of these activities, it qualifies you to receive up to $300 into your Virgin Pulse account. The participation rate for the Blueprint for Wellness screening for BWC is 41%, compared to 58% of all HealthFlex participants. The participation rate for the Health Quotient risk assessment for BWC is 79%, compared to 81% of all HealthFlex participants. The Board of Pensions values the ability for participants to use these programs as a form of early detection of health risks. Our funding of these incentives gives us a chance to help all of our participants gain access to these forms of early detection. As you can see, we have a little bit of work to catch up to the participation rates experienced by all HealthFlex conferences. That completes our formal presentation for today. Thank you for allowing us to provide you with those updates and reminders. We will now conclude our report with the recommendations for which we seek your approval. We are asking for your approval of the Comprehensive Funding Plan. The Comprehensive Funding Plan evaluates the funding status of all conference pension and health benefits plans annually. This is to make sure that we have the funds to meet our commitments to our retirees. The Comprehensive Funding Plan must be adopted annually by the annual conference. We certainly celebrate that all of our funding ratios are greater than 100%, a confirmation that we have appropriate assets already in place to cover the existing liabilities associated with our benefits. We also seek your approval of the following recommendations. We ask your approval to continue providing health benefits to retirees. We ask your approval to continue providing a pre-82 surviving spouse benefit at 85% of the participant level. We ask your approval to continue one remaining special grant. This is a mechanism we can employ when, through very unusual circumstances, someone has fallen through the cracks with respect to pension benefits, and we provide a grant to make things right. We ask your approval to increase the pre-82 past service rate by 2.5% to $768 per credited year for pre-82 pensions paid in 2021. The previous slide listed the comprehensive funding plan details that must be approved each year by the annual conference. And finally, we ask your approval for the IRS required resolution on retiree housing allowance. Thank you for your support of the work of the Conference Board of Pensions and Health Benefits. Bishop, this concludes my report, and I thank you for the time to address our updates with the annual conference on this virtual forum. Thank you, and God bless.